everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Copper Jacket TV. So today I thought I would keep things a little bit lighter and talk about something that I think is very exciting, a big expansion to the California roster. As a matter of fact, there were 3 really good options just added today. So we're going to talk about what was just added to the roster and some of the stuff that you can find now that you couldn't find just a couple years ago. So again, we're going to be talking about the roster today. Stay tuned. Hey, real quick, if you haven't done so already, consider hitting that subscribe button. It's free, it only takes a second, but it really does help us out here quite a bit, and it helps us spread our message as well. And if you want to stay up to date on your rights, hit that little alarm bell, and that'll let you know when videos like this come out. So with that being said, let's get to it. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about what's going on here. So I'm sure that a majority of you already know what the roster is. The roster is one of the biggest infringements on our constitutional rights in the state of California. It's absolutely terrible because it is basically a government-approved list of handguns that people in California are allowed to have. If it's not on that list, you have to get it through like third party or trade-ins, things like that. And they're absolutely absurd when you see how much they are. But anyway, the things that are on the roster were stagnant for decades. I mean, there just wasn't anything new being added because some of the requirements just didn't exist, like microstamping. Other physical requirements are loaded chamber indicators, magazine disconnects. They have to go through physical and functional tests as well in order to be added to the roster. So there's a lot. The company has to pay money to have the testing done, and then once the testing is complete, then they, physically evaluate the different components and features. And then if it's approved, it gets added to the roster for a specific amount of time, and it has to be renewed every single year after that. So again, the roster was stagnant for a long time. Then comes along a case called Boland v. Bonta. Boland v. Bonta comes around and actually wins an injunction against major components of the roster. The microstamping, loaded chamber indicator, magazine disconnect, all were enjoined from enforcement. Unfortunately, upon appeal, some of those things were put back into effect, being the loaded chamber indicator and magazine disconnect. However, the microstamping portion of the roster was left enjoined. That means that microstamping is not required to get on that roster anymore. That means that companies who had the other features could now start applying to get on the roster. Once that started to happen, we started seeing new things get added slowly. In the very beginning, it was a bunch of stuff that nobody was really interested in, but slowly things started getting added. And then once stuff started getting added that people really wanted and have been looking for, it started to get pretty exciting. So there's been a bunch of new stuff that has been added since then. We've made videos about that in the past. Let's talk about the stuff that's been added in the last month, and then the 3 new things that were added just today. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at the roster itself. Now, if you're somebody who just wants to randomly look to see if something new has been added to the roster, it's really easy to find it. All you have to do is simply Google the roster and add the search terms recently added. The first link that pops up should be to the California DOJ BOF, and it'll show you everything that's been recently added. And you'll know that it's recent because, one, it has a date next to it, but also it'll have a little asterisk as well. Now, we're going to start off at the very beginning of April here. Not too much has been added, but again, these are things that I think people are going to be interested in. So if we just step back right here to April the 3rd, we can see that there were 3 different models of the Springfield XDM that were added. So we have the XDM Elite 3.8, we have the XDM Elite Compact, also 3.8, and we have the XDM Elite 4.5 OSP, the full size. All 3 of those were added to the roster on April 3rd, so that means that they should be available in California by now. Now, moving into early May, they added the Car CW9, and while this is not anything that's necessarily new, it's actually been around for a while, at least it's been tested, and it's new for the people in California and gives them at least another option. That was added on May 7th. Now we're going to talk about the 3 new things that were added just today. Okay, so here's a look at the 3 that were just added today, and I got to give it to SIG. Once they found out that microstamping wasn't a requirement anymore, they jumped on top of just about everything to get people in California as many options as possible here. But you can see we have 2 from the 320 family and 1 from the 365 family here. We have the 320XF, which is a 4.7 inch. We have the 320X5 Legion, which is pretty awesome. That's the 5-inch. And then we have the 365 Comp MS, which is the 3.1 inch, right? The 365 family right there. So again, 3 different models that were added today. All are great models, to be honest with you. These are all very cool, and they have a range, I think, that suits several different needs and requirements. So thanks to Boland v Bonta, it seems like we're seeing something new pretty much every single month now. Sometimes it might not be very popular and it might only fit like a small niche of people, but sometimes you get the really popular stuff, the things that people actually really want, you know, a vast majority of the people really want. And that's what I think we have here. The one thing that I'm still waiting on, and I really wish that they would make an effort to get in there, but it would be like the G19X, the G19, G17, Gen 5s, all that Gen 5 stuff that people have been wanting there that, you know, stuck to Gen 3 on the roster. And I think a lot of people are getting pretty annoyed by that. And so since that micro-stamping provision is no longer there, I think it would be fairly easy to see these popular Gen 5 models get added. So that's kind of what I'm waiting to look for next. And to be honest with you, I thought that was going to happen towards the end of 2023, but apparently I was wrong. So hopefully that happens soon. That's the big one that I think a lot of people have been waiting for. Anyway, I just wanted to let you know about that. Again, try and keep today's video a little bit lighter. You know, it seems like there's been a lot of doom and gloom lately and all these different things that are being passed and lawsuits, and we got the Supreme Court, what the Ninth Circuit is doing. I mean, there's just been so much going on that you've been bombarded with it. And I just wanted to show you that some good stuff is actually happening out there. And again, more options for the people of that state, I think is fantastic. There's a lot of people there, a lot more than people actually realize. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you. I want to thank you all very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please like, subscribe. You guys have a great day.